Okay, most of us have probably downloaded some forms of music or movies to just like get them like, oh, I just listened to a song on the radio and I just want to like get it right now and be able to have it on my iPod or whatever. And it's just so convenient and consumer friendly for us to be able to do that. I'm here to argue that the same is for video games, that downloadable video games are more consumer friendly than retail games are today. Mainly this is for three reasons. They cost less, they're easier to get, and they're overall just more convenient to complete and have for fun. I'll start with the main reasons about the cost. The cost of downloadable games, depending on the system it's for, if it's like a simple iPhone game, it's only there's games that are good that are only 99 cents compared to games for a handheld like a DS is up to $30, and you can get just as much fun for 99 cents. Even though they're lower prices, they're still reports have been showing that they're even selling and making more profits than any retail games. James Ory of VideoGamer.com states how downloadable games like Battlefield 1943 and Worms 2 have not only sold more, but made more profit than retail games that came out around the same time. It's also easy for gamers during the current recession to not want to spend as much money on retail games in stores. They want to go out and spend up to $40 to $60 on a game, and being able to just get a downloadable game for $15 or less is much more affordable. Reports from the NPD group that reports the sales of video games said video game sales slid 14% in the United States in the first 8 months of 2009. However, downloadable games on PCs, consoles, and mobile devices have increased. Michael Panter, a video game analyst, stated that the number of casual games available for download has grown exponentially, and the number of premium downloads appears to be growing by a 50 to 100% annually. This is just showing how downloadable games are becoming more mainstream and more something that normal people would want to buy rather than going out to the store and getting a retail game for even more money. Which leads me into my next point of how downloadable games are much easier to get. I have a personal experience where I was at home and I had run out of video games and I was like, hey, I'll get a new video game. I usually go online to check reviews to see which games are good. And I can see that a recent game got a 9.0 review, and I'm like, oh, that's a really good game. I can go out and buy that. But at the same time, I can see a downloadable game got an 8.5. And even though it's a lower review, it's still a good review. I go, I'll just get the downloadable game because it's much more convenient to be able to just go on to my console and just click download and get the game at my house rather than taking a 10-minute drive to a store. Or for other people who the store may be even further away and have to drive a long distance to get that game, downloadable games are just so much easier to get. Not to mention, downloadable games can be downloaded right on the release date. Most games, when they have a release date stated on a website or by the company, it usually takes 1 or 2 days for that game to get to the stores. And if it's a big name title, when it gets to the stores, it sells out within a day. Downloadable games never run out. When it comes out, you can just download it, and there's infinite copies for anyone to buy. Finally, downloadable games are more convenient than retail games. What this means is how video games is a very time-consuming media. When you watch a movie, it's only 2 hours. When you listen to music, it's very short. But video games are a sort of media that takes a while to complete a game. BioWare website, which is a video game company, reported polls of asking gamers, how often do you complete the games you buy? And what was an interesting percentage was that gamers reported for downloadable games, they complete them 81.3% of the time, but for retail games, they only complete them 34.7% of the time. This means that gamers are getting more value for their smaller amount of money by playing the entire game and getting everything out of it, rather than a retail game that has so much in it that they can't get to it all and can't finish it. These downloadable games also require less time for the developers to make, and they can get it out to us faster and with better quality for a lower price. Gordon Van Dyke, the producer of Battlefield 1943, after seeing the amazing sales, stated, "We can now truly say that we have set a new standard for what can be done in downloadable games category, and gamers can recognize the endless value that Battlefield 1943 provides for just $15. Things like these is just what proves how, just like music and just like movies, downloadable content is going to become more mainstream than going to the store and picking it up. It's just going to become more popular and be an easier way for us to get hold of the games we want to play." Yeah, I guess that's it.
All right, Will, I think you state the proposition pretty effectively, although I think you do want to highlight it a little more that it is your proposition. One of the things, though, that's easy to tell that the proposition is that you have your preview right after that, so people who have been here and listening will know right away, but don't forget that your audience may not always consist of people who are in this class. The main weakness I see on the argument is the question about how much controversy there is on the subject. The question of whether or not the consumer or the retail games and the downloadable games are in fact competing with each other and people need to make a choice. I see that there are some grounds for that, but is anybody disputing that this is a worthwhile choice or that it has some value to it? We may be getting a little bit into some value issues there as opposed to some factual issues. Very good signposting on the supporting structures, easy to follow the whole way through. You did an excellent job qualifying all of your evidence. You used some good personal examples to illustrate points and some hypotheticals to get ideas across also. I would need to know a little bit more on the factual data about the comparability of the downloadable games versus the retail games, the $40 or the $15. At the end, it sounds like you are suggesting that there is a difference in quantity of information available on the games or the quality with which the games play, or the features that they have, and I think that might be where some of the differences end up lying, although I think that you tried to minimize those a little bit by pointing out the advantages of the downloadable games. I thought it was presented very well. You had good audience contact, and you did a good job trying to create some credibility for yourself. All right, thank you.